Unemployment, while below the national average in Fort Worth, continues to be a concern to the everyday citizen. What would you recommend for Fort Worth to do to expand our economy and job opportunities? Betsy?
Well, Fort Worth does have unemployment issues. We must be open for business again. The city has not brought major corporations to this city for several years. We have to get a focus from the council, from the mayor, on handling our budget, reducing our tax burden. One of the issues seems to be the fact that the taxes are very high in Fort Worth. Many people don't want to live here. Businesses don't want to come. Many of us do, as evidenced by the huge growth that we have. We must be out actively recruiting good businesses. We must be unabashed cheerleaders for this city, work on getting out with our Visitors and Convention Bureau, work with our chambers, get the word out. Fort Worth is a great place to be, a great place to live. We need to look at the ability to offer business incentives. TIFs are often what are being used now. The public improvement districts are an option also, and abatements have been used successfully. They were used in excess at one point, but they can be controlled. We have to work on our jobs.
Well, I think we should make certain that we should be cheerleaders for the city, make sure that the Chamber of Commerce is out there bringing in new businesses and not just appealing to the corporations, but making certain that the mom and pop shops out there have a chance with tax abatements and other incentives to grow their own business, to add that little unique flavor that is Fort Worth. But I think it also has to deal, quite frankly, with questions of education and making certain that we have an educated workforce that can go back into the community, create an equitable tax base, some people who give back and start their own businesses here, who want to stay in Fort Worth, who see the incentive and the potential in staying longer than just graduating high school or college, but actually having their families here and having their future generations here. So I think if we concentrate on those issues, we can solve this problem relatively easily.
Fort Worth probably led the state in the 90s and early 2000 with our ability to attract business. And it was because, as Bruton Smith told me, it was just easier to do business with Fort Worth. That is still true. I mean, we have to keep in mind we're one of the fastest growing cities in America today, and we're growing by leaps and bounds as far as our population is concerned. Big businesses will always go where it's, quote, easier to do business, and that is the job of the city council and your chambers. But I think there's some things that we could do immediately. And when I was on the council, I was a big proponent of tourism. That's one of the best industries in the world. Some cities, that's all they rely on is tourism. Fort Worth is a wonderful place, and people would love to come here. We sometimes spend less on our tourism budget than the city of Grapevine does. So I think that's one thing we can do immediately, is really ramp up our tourist attractions and that budget. Second thing we can do is talk with the folks down at the permitting and code compliance and try to use some of these old buildings for businesses that we seem to be not able to do.
The last time that the city did an economic development analysis was in 1995. And at that time, it was determined that there were 4 major industries that would attract people to Fort Worth. They were defense, transportation, tourism, and healthcare. We've seen that defense and transportation with the Alliance Corridor has borne that out to be true. I think the emphasis should be on healthcare. We know that we have a growing healthcare industry. We know that it is, in fact, there is a huge demand. I think we should focus on healthcare. The second thing that we need to do is to really take a good look at education. Knowledge economies are what are driving people to move to cities. Large numbers of high school educated and then college educated. So I think we need to focus and make sure that we are delivering the education and having the college and high school educated that we need here in Fort Worth.
It pains me to say this, but our neighbor to the east, Dallas, is years ahead of Fort Worth in terms of the one thing that I think this city absolutely must concentrate on if we are to make it a vital business center, and that is transportation. We have got to implement a comprehensive multimodal, rail-based transportation system in order to connect all of the areas, the vital areas of our city, to the downtown, to facilitate development on the near south side, on the southeast side, more on the west 7th quarter, the north side, the east side. If we don't connect all areas of our city and make it easy for people to move back and forth, then those areas, including downtown, will not be able to thrive and will actually stifle. And we cannot afford to have that happen. You want to have more employment, what you need to do is facilitate the business development in this city, and you do that with transportation.